Hey, what's up guys? In this video, I want to talk to you about this really cool synth instrument for Kontakt called Gibet. And this is a synth instrument that is part of a trilogy that was released by Teletone Audio, and this was the third edition that was released back in February. Now, I was meaning to all along cover this one because it really deserves a video of its own. And even though I'm about 6 months down the road, it still deserves a video of its own because it's that good. Now, I've already done a video on the other two synths in the trilogy called Ondine and Scarbo that I released back in October. And if you haven't seen that, definitely check it out, because in that video, I go through all the different controls from the movement knob to the mood knob, the different fader functions with the mod wheel, and I go all in depth with both of those instruments. And it's the same controls that are on this instrument. The difference is with this one is you have the darkest character of all three synths in Gibet. So just moving down the landing page for Gibet, we can see that Gibet is the sound of the city at night. Blown out distortion masquerades as a romantic haze of analog synths, keys, and string recordings, all packed into an interface with sophisticated restraint. And you can see in the picture here, this is what Gibet looks like with its interface. And like I said, these are the same controls on the other two synths. The big difference though is that you get 70 different presets and 30 multis, whereas with the other two synths, you actually get 50 presets and 25 multis. So you actually get more presets in this and design patches to really start you off and inspire something right on the spot. And that's exactly what Teletone Audio is all about, is giving you instruments that are inspiring right out of the box and giving you a handful of really high quality presets to get you started and inspire creativity right away. So what I've done is I've actually went ahead and prepared a full track using Gibet and taking advantage of Gibet's darkest qualities, because it is the darkest of all three synths of the trilogy. I went ahead and made a really dark cinematic track that has a really nice moody, brooding vibe to it. So I've used 5 different instances of Gibet and have a different preset on each of my tracks that I named here. So this one's hydraulic oscillation. And then for the other 4, I got soliloquy, upon further reflection, apathy atrophied, and aggressor. Not to mention, I'm using Teletone Audio's brand new bass instrument modeled after a late 60s precision bass. This thing is awesome. And I'm going to do a whole nother video on this later, because this thing is like the best vintage bass sound I've ever got out of any VST plugin I've ever tried. So stay on the lookout for that, because it's going to be a really good one if you're looking for that nice vintage bass tone. And honestly, it works in not just vintage vibe tracks, but also modern tracks, which you'll hear right now because I've used it in this track. And then for my drums, I'm also using Teletone Audio's Tympo, which is a fantastic drum plugin packed with 30 kits created from over 50 different vintage drums and close to over 500 different drum grooves included with this plugin. And for this video, I actually used the Distress kit using the synthetic beat selection, which is a really interesting, almost like liquid sounding drum sound that I've used to lay down the entire rhythm part in this track. Okay, so let's go and hear the track now. So here is Gibet. So there is the track that I made using Gibet, and it is honestly my favorite track I have made as a demo track in such a long time. This instantly came together using Gibet, and the presets were just so easy to work with and get an idea going right away. I will say, since there are more presets in Gibet, there is a lot more variety to work with, and you can see that I favorited a ton of presets within Gibet here. I like that there were more starting points to work with and just more tone variety within these different presets. I really did appreciate that it is a more darker quality. It's the darkest of the 3 instruments in the trilogy. It made for a very inspiring, almost scenic sound, which I think that's exactly what Teletone Audio was obviously going for, but it really made it easy to bring an entire track together using just Gibet, Tympo, and Teletone Audio's brand new bass instrument called Retrograde Bass. So just to highlight some of these sounds on their own, so this is what hydraulic oscillation sounds like by itself. And I'm actually automating it. So then the modulation actually peaks as I drop into the first downbeat of my main idea, so as to open it up and give it some expression going into that first drop where tempo kicks in and the beat really takes its place. And then for soliloquy, this is what this sounds like. This is just like a background supporting atmospheric sound. So just there for atmosphere. And then from there, we drop into the meat of this idea, which is upon further reflection and an apathy atrophied, with these 2 synths that I've panned left and right to give it a really full sound. And then of course, everything is supported in the low end by the brand new Retrograde Bass. And actually my favorite part where Retrograde Bass really shines is in the 3rd act of my track, or my idea here, where it goes into more of these rapid 16th notes and you can really hear the character and the overdrive come out. And the preset that I actually used for this one is called, I think it's called, Dysthemic Robot. Just has a really nice tone and overdriven character, really taking advantage of the saturation and the effects panel here. But like I said before, I'm definitely going to make a whole other video on Retrograde Bass, because I've actually been looking for a solid bass plugin for a long time, because really I've just mainly been using synths, so things like Massive, Serum, but for my real authentic bass tones, I've largely used Scarby Rickenbacker bass by Native Instruments, which has been my go-to for such a long time, but it's been around for so many years now, and even though it is a still useful plugin, I find that I really enjoy Retrograde Bass a whole lot more. There's just so much more usable and interesting tones that I can get out of this compared to Scarby Rickenbacker bass, where you know that it's a tried and true sound, but you don't have as many options for flavor and tone that you do with something like this. So I'm going to make a whole other video on that, but I wanted you to hear what it sounded like in context with this track and how it really supported the low end for my idea. And then last but not least, we have Tympo over here that's filling out the rhythm section for our entire idea. And this was the main part for the drums that I was talking about earlier that kind of has this liquid kind of sound to it. Take a listen. It's got this really crazy trilly, I don't know, is it like a flanger of some sort? I honestly don't know, but it just sounded so interesting that I actually built the entire track around this interesting liquid sounding beat. I just thought it was like super cool, and it was more than enough inspiration to get me started. So guys, that is a look at Gibet. Definitely check out the webpage, the landing page for Gibet, because there are some really cool demos that Jeremy Larson from Teletone Audio and Ryan Strong have both put together that really demonstrate the full versatility of this specific edition within the trilogy. I really love the tracks that they've put together on this landing page. Really enjoyable demos that highlight and showcase what Gibet is capable of. So definitely take a look. I'll leave a link in the description below. And if you want to check out my other video on Scarbo and Ondine, I go through how the functions and controls work for these different synths. And in terms of cost goes, it's $89, as you can see right here. Definitely a worthwhile purchase to add to your collection if you're looking for interesting, dark, overdriven sounds. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.